So, folks, we have to talk about the fact that Donald Trump is yet again trying to resurrect the spirit of 2020 and the election fraud he committed in order to try and maintain his political power. And once again, his efforts to do this are in service of the cause of furthering and passing the SAVE Act, which, to remind all of you what that is, it's basically a massive provision that would overhaul voting in the United States and basically put a lot more voting under the auspices and guidance of the federal government, instead of right now where that power resides, which is in the states. And it would also mandate voting IDs, or voter IDs, rather. So it is a bad package of laws, and Republicans know this. It's been a turd that they've been kicking around for a while. They just haven't passed it because, frankly, they understand it's political poison for them to do so. However, at Trump's behest and in a renewed push to pass the SAVE Act, House Republicans are relaunching their efforts in a new reconciliation package. They are going to try and pass it attached to funding so that they don't necessarily have to get the 60 votes that they would normally need within the Senate. And the problem here is that, well, even though it made it out of committee, there's really not a clear avenue for this to pass. But Trump doesn't really care and is trying to do basically everything he can to get it passed. He's panicking, right? And it is worth noting that, like, Republicans are already saying, no, we're not going to try and pass this. Notably, Tom Tillis in the Senate is saying, no, I'm going to block any efforts to pass this. Saying, quote, if I see a reconciliation bill come from the House with another failed attempt to confuse this election, I will use every device I have to slow down the wheels of government until people cop a clue and do the math. Which, that's a Republican saying that. This thing is, the joke I saw making the rounds on social media today was, this thing is so dead that they appointed its sister to take its place. So this is, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this goes, but I don't think it's gonna fly this time. The trick that they're trying to pull is essentially, by turning the Save America Act's dictates into conditions on federal funding, federal grants, supporters hope it will survive a Senate birdbath, the procedure named after former West Virginia Senator Robert Byrd, for stripping non-budgetary measures out of reconciliation bills. But budget experts have said that's unlikely to work. Like, this is like a hastily constructed and ill-considered plan. Like, this is clearly Donald Trump absolutely blindsiding many of the members of the Republicans in Congress. And it's interesting to say the least. It's also interesting to note that the buzz leading up to this speech involved a number of different conversations. One of those conversations was, should networks be airing speeches that are knowingly designed, even if they're by the president, that are knowingly designed to spread disinformation? And very interestingly, both NBC and ABC declined to air Donald Trump's address live. They both announced they weren't going to do it, which is, I think, quite interesting. It is a sign that Donald Trump's power is weakening. Because usually media would be all over any and every primetime address, right? Like, oh, he's going to say something crazy, so we got to make sure it's broadcasting because viewers are going to come in. And, like, that wasn't a good enough incentive. Like, this is truly some, like, oh, damn, he might be cooked for real. And CNN and Fox also refused to air it? Wait, is that true?
Feels like a watershed moment to me.
I need to know. I don't know that Fox refused. Okay, Fox and CBS aired it. Okay, that makes way more sense. And of course, as a result, Donald Trump is now saying that ABC and NBC should have their broadcasting licenses revoked to punish them for not airing his speech. That's where we're at now. Like, the president of the United States is saying, if you don't air my speech, you have your broadcasting rights revoked. Like, this is literally infringement on free speech. This is, like, genuinely something that, like, everyone in a sane world in America who believes and knows the Constitution should be opposed to. But Republicans are just like, yeah, no, that's fine. We hate NBC. The main point here is that ABC and NBC didn't air it live on their main channels. We also knew in advance, and I talked about this a couple days ago, that there was a chance that we were going to get some kind of renewed effort to try and delegitimize the 2020 election, and also that there was going to be some attempt to try and go after and delegitimize Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff and get them possibly removed from the Senate, right? And John Ossoff, I got to be honest, I have he is not a perfect political candidate by any means, but I got to be honest, this level of national attention being given to John Ossoff does make him a more and more likely dark horse candidate for 2028. Because he's going on television and saying the right things.
Now, Senator, you said this week that if the president calls you and your colleague, Senator Raphael Warnock, illegitimate, he's calling Georgia's voters illegitimate. Do you know if he plans to talk about you and Warnock?
I don't know. But if there's one person who committed election fraud in Georgia, it's Donald Trump when he dialed up our state's senior-most election official, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, and tried to bully him in a recorded phone call to, quote, find the exact number of votes Donald Trump needed to win in a state that he had lost.
Now, Senator.
Like, I'm not going to lie, that's kind of spitting. Like, if you know that there are going to be attacks coming on your legitimacy, pointing out that the guy who originally did this was the one doing the fraud is, that recenters the conversation. But this was the thing that really got traction today. This statement from Ossoff.
Here's what's going to happen tonight. The world's most famous sore loser will deliver a primetime presidential sour grapes address to pursue his 6-year-old grievances about the 2020 election, while his war in the Middle East spirals out of control and the cost of living continues to rise for Americans across the country. I expect the president to reheat debunked conspiracy theories about the repeatedly litigated and audited and confirmed 2020 presidential election in Georgia, an election that Donald Trump lost. And let me be very clear about this. If the president declares Georgia's elections illegitimate, or if the president declares Georgia's sitting United States senators illegitimate, he is declaring Georgia voters illegitimate. It's Donald Trump who tried to defraud Georgia voters in that election. Donald Trump who tried to commit election fraud when he called Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, and it was caught on tape, and you should play the tape for your viewers today, and badgered and bullied Georgia's top election official to, quote, find him the votes that he needed to win in a state where he had lost.
Dude's killing it. And, like, the problem is, like, I want someone more progressive than John Ossoff to win in 2028, but if we keep getting attacks on John Ossoff that elevate him on the national stage, he's gonna be the guy. He's gonna be the guy. And, the Trump administration has tried really hard to manufacture cases of voter fraud, by the way, and, like, make a mountain out of a molehill here, but, like, it is telling that even surrounded by the biggest yes men on the planet, even surrounded by people who are willing to lie and go to prison for him, even surrounded by people who are willing to put brown shirts on the street in order to kill for him. DHS says it found thousands of non-citizens on voter rolls. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see what DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen had to say. Found thousands of non-citizens on voter rolls in California and 3 other states. Okay, all right. Oh, and we got to go 3 paragraphs down here because what Politico got was a press release. A press release that was planned to be put out by DHS and by Mark Wayne Mullen. And 3 paragraphs in, the press release, which did not say whether there was any evidence of actual voting by non-citizens or explain how DHS reached its finding, was circulated inside the agency ahead of Trump's planned primetime speech in which he'd promised to reveal really big news on election security. It's also not clear how DHS obtained the data. While some voter registration records are publicly available, the Trump Justice Department has sued more than 24 states across the US for this type of data. All 15 judges who have ruled on these cases so far have rejected the requests as overly broad and without a clear purpose. What's very interesting here is that it kind of looks like DHS broke the law to try and get this data, and it kind of looks like they don't have any evidence to back up any actual allegations of voter fraud, which one would do if you had evidence of voter fraud. They wouldn't be playing it like, oh well, they wouldn't be playing coy. Let me put it that way. This would be the thing they'd be shouting from the rooftops. If they had evidence of it, they would be shouting it from the rooftops 24/7. You wouldn't be able to escape that messaging. They have no evidence of it whatsoever, even when Mark Wayne Mullen, handpicked by Donald Trump, is set to this task. Simpler answer is they're just making it up. I mean, that's probably the case, but they couldn't even make up big numbers. They couldn't make up anything that seemed plausible. This was supposed to be evidence that would justify passing the SAVE Act, and it's just, they couldn't even do that. Let's just take I don't want to give you guys this full speech, because honestly, it's boring, and I think you'll know in about 3 seconds in of him talking how utterly unenergized he is about this entire affair. Look at him, dog. He's dying.
Good evening. Before we begin, I'm proud to report that our country is safer, stronger, and far wealthier than it has ever been before. We are
listen to his voice. He's incapable. He's Bidening, guys. He's Bidening in real time. His voice is weak as hell.
We're doing great. Less than 2 years ago, we inherited an economic and social disaster after the worst inflation in 40.
Okay, we are gonna skip ahead though, because he's just trying to recap accomplishments and make himself feel better.
Now working with us to produce millions and millions of barrels of oil. We are who have all personally reviewed the findings. We are presenting this evening and fully confirmed their authenticity. You can see these documents for yourself at whitehouse.gov. That's whitehouse.gov. Go check it out. Our purpose in disclosing this information is not to weaken confidence in election, but to earn that confidence by confronting vulnerabilities and correcting them very, very quickly.
If he goes to Duluth, does he vanish? I saw some footage from the 950 plus AQI and it was scary.
I don't know what the AQI is. That's air quality
He's
index.
More like RFK. Every day somebody check his brain for worms or dementia.
I mean, yeah, no, the air quality in Minnesota is just terrible right now. The other day it was so hazy that, yeah, you probably could. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 sub, Sake, and Nathan, thank you for the $5 dono.
That's what we're doing. The documents cover 5 major areas of concern. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files.
What's really interesting here is that CNN had on standby a number of experts because they knew that this was going to be something related to like election integrity. So they had a bunch of people ready to come through these documents, and they have already done so. Though the documents are newly declassified, they largely discuss vulnerabilities that have been known for years and election officials around the country have tried to address. None of the declassified information supports the claim that any previous election results, including the 2020 presidential contest that Trump lost, were manipulated by foreign interference or fraud in a way that would have changed the outcome. Instead, White House officials have framed the disclosures not as an attempt to relitigate past elections, but rather as an attempt to correct vulnerabilities ahead of November's midterm elections. That's despite the fact that the second Trump administration was has shuttered many federal organizations that were tracking and publicizing foreign influence campaigns. Now, what's interesting to me here is that not only has Donald Trump made our elections less secure, but of course, what's interesting and baffling to me is that, kind of going back around to the original point, they couldn't even make something up. They couldn't even make something up that sounded like a plausible threat. It really hammers home. This is all like one big play for this sundowning old man to enjoy. Everything that's happening right now is a bunch of people trying to appease the emperor that's not wearing any clothes, and while telling him how great his outfit is. God damn.
That information includes names, addresses, phone numbers, political party.
God, I fucking love MAGA chuds. It's some of the greatest commentary you'll ever see. Greatest president ever in history, more intelligent man in history. Trump, wonderful man, doing amazing job saving the world. Like, god damn, I love you guys. Never change. You guys watch this golden pile of shit like spew out phrases barely linked together, and you're just like, that's my man.
References and other sensitive data that would be needed to register to vote and engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening. This data...
Jack, is he about to cancel elections? Now, that's the interesting thing, right? The interesting thing was I was really worried about that. I was really worried that this was going to be like an actual honest-to-God attempt to subvert the 2026 election in a severe, in a meaningful and serious way. And like, because so much has been going on that is very scary around this. A lot of the claims around election integrity have been used to try and like set the stage for 2026 election interference. And I thought this was going to be more of the same. I thought this was going to be an escalation, and it really just seems like a wet fart, you know? It's just, I'm not seeing people respond to it. And like, it doesn't even feel like he has his heart in it, really.
Loss presents an unprecedented election security nightmare. The intelligence even shows that China has signed a data exploitation unit specifically to this new project.
You're an overweight, unattractive, mentally unstable man? I don't know. I think I got good titties. So, like, I think I'm okay.
Pounding the travesty, the second set of documents we are releasing reveals that members of the deep state, very, very famous group of people, in many cases.
I love this, man. We're just relitigating the deep state, you know? Ah, yes, the deep state. Very famous people. Like, he doesn't even understand what he's talking about. Like, the premise of the deep state is a bunch of shadowy, unknown figures controlling the government from within. The premise of the deep state is not a bunch of really famous people. Oh, dog.
In our intelligence agency...
Election fraud is a dead meme kept alive by the chuds unable to move on.
It's true. They are unable to let go, fundamentally. You know, because they conserve everything, even memes.
Work to actively suppress and downplay information about the extent of China's sinister election meddling, covering it up from both the president and the American people like nobody thought was possible. U.S. spy agencies began learning about the compromise of voter registration.
Also, his eyes are just slowly disappearing every single time. Like, they're getting more and more squinty. Like, look at it. Dude, genuinely, I hate this man. I hate this man quite a bit. He's given off vibes of like, for the love of God, let him take a nap. He's like an 80-year-old man. Let him take a nap. Like, the bags under his eyes are like obscuring his vision.
Files in 2020.
Take a nap and go towards the light.
When they discovered that tens of millions of voter data, think of that, tens of millions of voters' data in 18 states have been bought, stolen, or hacked by China. Yet those responsible for sounding the alarm instead kept the information secret and hidden. They did not disclose to me as president or to anyone else, and to the best of our knowledge, they did not inform Congress. In fact, all they kept saying is, this is the most secure election in the history of our country. A standard, very pat line that was divvied out to say the cover-up of this colossal security breach.
Genuinely, at this point, I am wondering if he thinks that Pat is a person. I wonder if he's thinking like Pat is Pat Sajak from Wheel of Fortune. You know, like I'm over here being like, which he said that with so much vehemence. Like, who does he think Pat is?
Is even more disturbing in light of the additional information showing that China engaged in other election-related activities to undermine my first administration and our 2020 campaign. They did not want, and they just didn't want it. They fought like hell not to have it, Donald Trump, to win, and for good reason. As the documents we are releasing show, CIA reporting explicit.
Also, he's lopsided. Like, he's holding on for dear life to this podium, and he's like he's slanted. That's weird.
Explicitly stated, and I quote, in mid-2018, the Chinese Communist Party's policy was to leverage all domestic and...
Okay, I also just don't really care about these claims. I'm wondering...
Stunning. Today, I'm asking the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the CIA to investigate how and why such crucial information was hidden, to fire those involved in the cover-up, and to file criminal charges, if appropriate, against these people. Yet concealing China's...
I don't know who that is.
Meddling was only the beginning.
But thank you
the
for the $5
third set of
donut,
documents we are releasing proves that for many years, Americans were blatantly lied to about the security of our election infrastructure, including...
They only engaged in election interference, unlike me, who engaged in erection interference on my best friend's island.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Electronic voting machines and ballot counting systems, dishonest, almost all.
Hey, wait a minute. I thought he had lock-solid evidence and proof that the ghost of Hugo Chavez was possessing the voting machines. I seem to recall that being floated as an excuse on election night. Might be misremembering that.
They're vulnerable and they're easily compromised, and people within our government knew that. Tonight, we're publishing a series of...
Would it be fair to say, after a decade of Trumping in politics, as he has plain and simple fatigue from the public has set in with him? Well, yeah, but also he wasn't like a particularly sharp dude from the get-go. You know, like he wasn't working with a full deck of cards, and like he has less cards now.
Previously classified U.S. intelligence community assessments and other reports proving that our government has long known these machines are extremely exposed to attack. As one assessment states, we judge that the United States adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran,
funnier and shorter.
I will watch it later.
North Korea, as well as non-state groups, have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. That's unquote, but that's some statement, isn't it? Made by supposedly great patriots of our country. The document goes on to further state that, quote, we assess that centralized election-related data repositories, such as voter registration databases, poll books, and other official election websites, are most vulnerable to exploitation, and adversaries could use this access to these systems to disrupt election processes within the United States of America. Tonight, we're releasing all of those findings and spanning from...
Okay, but like, even as he's saying these things, these are things they've known and talked about openly. Like, I've been covering politics for years. People have talked about this. Especially since he's the guy leading the whole election integrity push. Like, people talked a lot about it. He makes news. He is for all of his faults, he makes news happen. And like, obviously people talked about election integrity. I literally know all of this shit because he has spurred entire news cycles on election integrity over and over and over again. Like, this isn't new shit.
It actually, that they contacted the FBI in Detroit. The documents state that some canvassers admitted to FBI agents that they signed voter registration forms in other people's names, submitted fraudulent registration for people who did not exist, and received gift cards tied to their number of...
I'm sorry, submitting voter registrations for people that do not exist, that does sound like a crime, but also, this doesn't sound like a widespread phenomenon. Like, and also, like, it's not a crime to help people fill out their registration. Like, in Minnesota, you can register on the same day as voting, and people will, like, provide you assistance in getting registered. There's nothing illegal about that.
Applications that they produced. In other words, it was pay, play, and cheat. The FBI agents working on the case believe that crimes were committed, yet the Biden Department of Justice slow-walked the investigation and killed it. Tonight, I'm asking the FBI director to ensure that the matter is fully investigated and to work with the Department of Justice to prosecute those responsible for any crimes. Finally,
yeah, man, we got to get the federal government on the real crimes in America. You know, the real criminals in America are the people who volunteered to knock on doors to get people registered to vote. Those roving bands of criminals. Everything is insane. All right.
A stolen election again. Tomorrow, the Secretary of Homeland Security will hold a briefing to outline his department's recent work confirming cyber vulnerabilities in our electronic voting systems. They are bad. We're in the process of informing governors, senators, and members of Congress.
Okay, I think this is about as much as I can handle. Like, this is fine. But, like, to wrap this up here, you know, you've got some members of Congress, like Tommy Tuberville over here, going along with this nonsense. But, like, it's so clearly hollow bullshit that, like, even Republicans are having trouble selling this.
But if you look at what we have, Ed, in terms of what happened in 2020.
The video and the audio are a bit desynced in this one.
We know President Trump, they put the screws to him. You know, there's no doubt. You know, I've seen the evidence. The same thing we probably have 4 or 5 senators that didn't legally win. They shouldn't be up here. And it's just unfortunate that that's happened. But again, slowly the information is coming out. I think you'll hear more tonight from President Trump. I don't know exactly what he's going to talk about, but the American people need to know how crooked these Democrats are. They lie, they cheat, they steal. They've tried to kill. Yeah, they tried to kill the president 3 times. They killed Charlie Kirk. It's unbelievable.
By the way, I love these arguments of like the Democrats tried to kill the president 3 times. They killed Charlie Kirk. It's like conservatives did that. Conservatives have tried to kill Donald Trump 3 times. Like, all the people who have directed violence towards Donald Trump are MAGA. Like, they're crazy MAGA lunatics. Like, that's one of the reasons we haven't really heard anything about the investigations into them or the charges or the court proceedings in any of that, because they're MAGA. They want to keep it quieter. And also, like, as far as like Charlie Kirk's assassin goes, I'm it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure the alleged assassin there was raised in a conservative household. Like, they're all MAGA. Like, in what way is any of this related to left-wing values at all? Look to the fucking plank in your own eye.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And we need to fight back. And thank goodness for President Trump.
Yeah, there we go. Thank goodness for President Trump. Yeah, he's such a spry young thing. Anyway, speaking of Tommy Tuberville, just as like a little bit of a, aside.
Bad stuff can only happen to conservatives, and Dems are behind it all. And they're both terrifyingly powerful and incompetent. Sounds familiar?
It does. It sounds like fascism. Anyway, one thing that Donald Trump and Tommy Tuberville have in common is it's all a gigantic grift. And that's kind of the entire thing that I think is kind of consuming MAGA politics right now at the highest levels. It's just that all of this is, I would argue, almost all of this is kayfabe for a cover to the corruption. Here's an example when it comes to Tommy Tuberville. This is from, I think, AL.com.
Did Tommy Tuberville really donate his Senate salary to veterans charities the way he promised he would? Watch this.
I stand with our veterans, and I'm going to donate every dime I make while I'm in Washington, D.C. to the veterans of the state of Alabama.
That was Tommy Tuberville in 2020, running for the United States Senate. He said that over and over again. On the radio, he even promised to come back on the air and hand checks out to veterans and their widows. So did he? Well, if he did, his taxes sure don't show it. For years, Tuberville wouldn't show anyone his taxes. Then, to fight a residency challenge in his run for governor, he finally turned them over with almost everything interesting blacked out. Except his lawyers forgot one thing. There's a barcode on here, and it holds every number they tried to hide behind a black box. And anybody with the free iPhone app can read it. And a reporter at the Lineup Daily in Mobile did just that. In his first 4 years in the Senate, Tuberville made almost $700,000 from his public salary.
Oops!
Oh no, Sam Cedar, what a fucking nightmare.
But what kind of charitable deductions did he claim in those years? $38,172.
Whoopsie.
Every dime, huh? 2 of those 4 years, he claimed nothing at all. Now, Tuberville has been asked multiple times since whether he followed through on his promise, and he hasn't given a straight answer. But maybe he doesn't need to. You can tell a lot about a man by where he puts his money. And Tommy Tuberville already showed us, whether he meant to or not.
It's all a fucking grift. It's all a fucking scam. All these, like, MAGA assholes are just profiteering off of, like, basically everything at this point. This story dropped today in the Wall Street Times. Trump media to sell faster access to president's social posts. Yeah, so basically his Truth Social company is now going to paywall his Truth Social posts so journalists can make a quick buck, or can pay to have the privilege to report on whatever Donald Trump is, tweeting while on the shitter. This is, I want to stress, incredibly illegal. It is incredibly illegal to charge the general public for access to this like communications from the president like this. It is self-dealing. It is enriching himself directly. And it's like just a scam. It's the scam economy. I talked a little bit about this earlier today, but it's all a goddamn scam. Scam after scam upon scam upon scam. It's a house of scams. And like, I'm not even like having to reach. Here's another article from today. White House teleprompter operator made more than $100,000 betting on Trump's speeches. It's everybody. Everybody around him. Everybody in his orbit. Everyone in a remote proximity to like the MAGA movement in Washington, D.C. is running a goddamn scam. Like, this is the things that I'm mentioning to you guys are from like today. That Tommy Tuberville thing, that was from last month. Oh, sorry, it's not from last month. I'm sorry, it's from 5 days ago. Like, the level and frequency of these scams that are getting run, the amount of money being turned around on like not Klarna, Karma, whatever that betting one is. Kalshi, there we go. Polymarket, Kalshi, all that stuff. Like this is corrosive to the general public. You know, it's truly, truly awful. Truly awful. And I do think that that's fundamentally what all of this is about. All of this boils back down to, he's running a scam, but so is everyone else in his orbit. Everyone is running a game. And no one actually believes anything. No one actually gives a shit about anything. It's all just a ploy to get more power and more wealth, and preferably both. And it's just, man, it's really disheartening. It's really awful to actually believe in something like a better world for average, everyday working people that is fully, well and truly possible, but to be stymied by people who are too busy like trying to stuff gold into their own pockets. Even worse, this recent speech was exactly 29 minutes long. I wonder why. Oh god, were people betting on the speech? Were people betting on the speech length? I mean, genuinely, that is the kind of thing that's happening now, you know? It's truly just devastating to the psyche to see this level of corruption playing out over and over and over again with no ramifications for basically anybody. The only people so far that have really faced any kind of consequence is the teleprompter guy, because like he's just a teleprompter guy. He's not someone important. All of the important people who are doing this shit haven't been caught, haven't been disciplined. Pete Hegseth fucking like invited a truck ton of people into a top secret military briefing on was it Telegram, and like included a fucking journalist in there, and he's still in office. Like it's crazy out there right now. Signal? Was it Signal? It's crazy out there right now. Anyway, folks, if you it was Signalgate. If you guys got anything out of this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. I am very grateful that this wasn't far worse, but I gotta be honest with you guys, the stupidity that has mounted as a result of this
Trump and MAGA.
It is difficult to stomach.
It's afraid. It's afraid!
Yes. I mean, that is kind of where Trump and MAGA are, you know, but even then, like, this was sluggish, this was weak, this was just, like, uninspired. It's the same shit we've seen a million times. It's the same shit he pulls at his rallies, and it's just him trying to make it even more important by saying it during, like, during a primetime address. Anyway, if you want to organize against this, and you should, join your local Dems, join your local DSA. And if you need help getting started, join our Discord, reach out to GamerG for help with DSA, reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. We'll help make that happen for you and give you advice and, put you in contact with other members of our community who have made the leap as well. And folks, last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks, trans men. Go check it out. It is comfortable, sexy, non-binary. Wait, non-binary. Sorry, it's very hot in this studio, in my defense. It's comfy, it's sexy, and it's, non-tucking lingerie. Check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. We just got a restock. There's new colors. Go check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. Link down in the description. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.